things. Like I was living with guys that were like gaming all the time.
So I lived with my brother for a few years, which was a lot of fun. Because I could yell at him if he wasn't cleaning.
But when I decided to move in with Sam, oh my gosh.
Which is a guy.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was like the most challenging roommate experience I ever had.
And we had opposite schedules, so often I didn't even see my roommates that often.
Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa.
Hi everybody, my name is Meg, and this is Finley.
And welcome to the Empowered Roomies YouTube channel. Hey, so in this week's video, we're talking about what are the pros and cons of living with a roommate. So for the pros, I mean, in our situation, there's a lot of pros.
A lot of pros, but it's only been 6 months, so... Yeah, have someone that listens, that empathizes, and then there's also been many times we've kind of been in the same mood. So we both arrive home and we're like, super excited. We had a busy, achieving type day.
Yeah.
And then there's been other days we've both had like bad days.
And when we were both like having a really hard time, and it was quite late at night, it was like a Tuesday night or something random like that, and we did some shots and started dancing in the living room.
We blasted the music. I think the neighbors were like, what the heck? I think we decided to be happy and positive.
Yeah, and I feel like it's something that if you were living by yourself, I know I personally would just get home and basically focus on that, and you would not be able to change your focus onto something better.
Another pro is splitting the groceries.
Oh, yes.
So Vanessa's introduced me to the way of zero waste. So we've been really cutting back on our grocery bill. You know, when I go and do my groceries, I just get like fresh vegetables and fruit, almond milk, but all of the like canned things I used to get, now we can get from the zero waste store, and we're able to split it. So we split like lentils, quinoa, rice, maple syrup, chocolate chips, like you name it, we're able to pick that up.
Yeah, and what's amazing is that most of the stuff, you know, it's things that you don't need to have twice. Like for example, like coconut oil, olive oil, ketchup, like soya sauce. Like we don't need twice of everything. I don't know how much fun we have in a day, just like with some stupid shit. Like that time we started doing our Scrabble on the fridge, or like having people over, just all those silly moments that just literally brings joy in your day-to-day life.
Because it's one thing to live with someone, but if you're friends with them and you maintain that, you know, we do our roomies brunch once a month. We've done that really well to be intentional with our friendship as well. So we don't just become roommates, but we maintain the friendship that we have.
We're committing to our time together and not just assume that we're going to be spending time together because we live together.
Borrow each other's clothing and do makeup together. So so I love getting dressed up, but I like something I just don't do often is my makeup. And I love when you do my makeup. It just makes me feel so nice. Get all pretty. I never grew up having a sister, so I've never really shared clothes with someone. So it's amazing that we're the same size and we can share clothes if we're going on a date or going out with friends or a girls' night or some fancy event.
Something that I feel like has been really nice with us is to hold each other accountable. So I like when both you and I, usually when we start the day, we just say like what our intentions are for the day.
You know, we're both like very action oriented and we have a lot on the go. Both of us are ambitious. We have a lot of projects on the go. So it is nice to be able to share that side of our lives, even though we're not doing it necessarily together.
Now about the cons.
Ooh, I don't like talking about cons.
I feel like something that can be challenging, and I know especially for me when we first moved in, what I was the most worried about is to have your me time, having your space, having your zone.
I have my morning routine, and that involves like doing my morning yoga and then meditating and reading, and I do find like that is a challenge if I'm doing that upstairs. But then if you come up to do your breakfast, then I find like, okay, do I leave, go downstairs? I don't want to be rude, and I want to engage in conversation.
I came home and I had a crazy day at work. I was starving. I didn't have time to eat. It was like 8:30 p.m. and Meg is having a webinar in the kitchen. And so I want to put my meal in the microwave, but she looks at me and she nods because she's like, no, wait for me to end my webinar.
And I could tell you were in a bad mood and that you were hungry because it was very evident. And you even as you entered, I was kind of like glaring at you, like, read my eyes.
I feel like by talking about it previously, like we do sometimes, you know, on Sundays, we know that we usually do our cooking then. So it's like, okay, what's your day like? When do you intend to do your cooking?
I'd have to say I've like never communicated so much with a roommate before you.
Wow.
I found that in the past we would either just not talk, so we would never clean the house, and it led to a lot of frustration in the past.
And what I appreciate by the way that we're doing things and that we usually try to do it together, or it's kind of like we're in a team like this, and I've never heard neither of us say like, oh well, it's your turn to do this.
And I think often what motivates us to clean, for me anyways, is having people over.
Yeah.
Because it was like your parents were on the way,
they've
never been here before,
and
you're like rushing around. I arrived home from work, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so I saw that the stairs could use a vacuum, so I like vacuumed the stairs. You're cleaning the kitchen and the bathroom, and you know, and it's like, hey, they're arriving any minute, and we're like,
oh my gosh,
like freaking out.
We cleaned the whole house within like less than 2 hours. So I think we haven't like really cleaned the stairs that much, but when we have people over, we
get cleaned.
We clean
very quickly. So I think another con could be using the bathroom.
2 girls.
2 girls. Previous roommates, there were 3 of us living together for a few months, and we had to coordinate. We all had to be out of the house before 9, and that was really complicated. I remember before we moved in talking about, you know what, if you're in the shower and you need to go to the bathroom, like, that's cool. And I think another con as well could be your sleeping schedule. When we first moved in, and I was like, okay, I'm going to bed at 10 p.m. I'm getting up at 5 a.m. And I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be really hard because Vanessa and I are good friends. We just want to talk all the time. So I remember staying up like past 10 and just being like resentful. And so I remember having a difficult conversation with you. Remember? And just being like, sorry, I need to put in my boundary.
The best example is yesterday. You know, you came home and you're like, I have to talk to you. And I'm like, I can't. And you're like, I'm gonna talk anyway. Then we ended up going to bed at 12 p.m. and I didn't even finish what I was supposed to do.
So another con of living with a roommate is if you're dating or getting to know somebody, how do you fit that time in? So, you know, we both have had different times where we're dating people. And we had this conversation the other day where I was like, all right, we need to talk about this. Yeah, I don't want you to be in your room or kick you out, but I don't want to be in my room with this person all the time either.
It's not easy on both sides, but at the same time, like, it was so necessary for us to open this up. After that, I felt more respected by you, by the fact that you brought it up and were like, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable and I don't want to push you away, but I also don't want to feel like I have to hold back.
And I think it is that communication piece, that if you don't communicate with a roommate, like, things can get piled up, and then there can be, you know, resentment or frustration. But if we do communicate and say like, hey, okay, this is the elephant in the room, we need to talk about it. Like, I don't know what to say. It's awkward, but we need to talk about it. Man, it's all coming down to communication.
Seriously.
Wow.
Yeah, communication has been super easy between us, and maintaining the balance of our relationship as roommates but also as friends, like, has been the most amazing key to just be transparent, to be vulnerable, and to be honest with each other.
Yeah, so I think there are like definitely pros and cons for living with someone, and I would advise, if you are considering living with a roommate, is, you know, figuring out, is this someone who you're compatible with? Is this someone who will communicate? Do they have the same standards in terms of loudness or, you know, cleanliness? What are those things that are important values to you? And